Bohemian Geek Studies. Today we've got some really delicious dick-filled dorky dives into our favorite fandoms. I am, as always and forever, the queen of queries, but today I also come to you as the temptress of thirst trappings, Sarah O'Connor.
Oh my, we're already getting into it, ladies.
Yeah, I just want us to slow it down a little bit.
My
Get
gosh,
relaxed.
Sarah is bringing it.
Just get on in there, why don't we? Hello there, everyone. I'm Colleen McMillan, romance author, that's right, and saucy fanfic enthusiast.
Like a real author. Like a real author, actually.
a real writer.
Well, I don't sound quite as sexy as these phone sex operators over here that I didn't know were my friends.
I think you sound sexy.
Yeah, listen, Flo, we don't yuck anyone's yums.
That's
There's
right.
a kink for everything.
If you're looking for a very bubbly teacher, that's me.
Ooh.
You can call me.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Right? Hi.
Yeah.
I'm Flo. I'm your resident smutty princess, and I like to think that I'm also the person keeping Kindle Unlimited in business just by the sheer volume of books that I read on there.
Absolutely. And let me just say, while we're focused on smut today, I want to applaud you, Flo, because you are a better reader than I am in that you make sure to splice your smut with something educational. And I just want to praise you in case you have a praise kink for today.
Girl, you know I do.
I saw this great TikTok literally today because the algorithm was like, no, boo, you need to see this. That said something along the lines of high achieving people in school age up and realize, oh, wait, now I have a praise kink.
Yes. And that's especially true of oldest daughters who become teachers. It's very well known that we have a praise kink. It's a problem.
I mean, or is it a solution, you good girl?
All good girls. Mm-hmm.
Well, while we vary in terms of our ranks here on BGS, one thing will always remain constant: much to learn and do. Do. We still have.
Mm-hmm.
For this special episode of Bohemian Geek Studies, the ladies of BGS are taking a very sensual dive into the world of romance and, dare I say it, smut.
Ooh.
I mean, I hope you say it because that's what it is.
Yes.
And we will not be shamed for enjoying this fantastic genre. And we're going to talk a lot about it right now, actually. And we're going to tell you why. So we have been waiting to do this episode for I don't know, since we did our fan fiction episode.
Yeah, probably. We ended it and we're like, so anyway, when's the next time we can get kinky together?
So if you haven't checked out our fan fiction episode, check that out. It's available on our feed and our YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. But today we're going to get into smut. And so as we were writing our outline, I was just kind of wondering how you girls got started reading romance novels or whatever got you into this genre, because I feel like we all have such interesting stories and experiences. So I don't know who wants to go first.
Well, I think our resident author should go first because I feel like she has the most experience as both connoisseur and provider.
Well, I actually haven't read very many romance novels. At least not explicitly romance only. I've done genre romance where it's fantasy elements, sci-fi elements, and romance. Outlander 2, I wouldn't exactly say that is strictly romance because of the time travel stuff. But I did read a couple Danielle Steele books when I was younger, snuck them from my mom. Wow, this is interesting. Oh my.
Danielle Steele is the gateway drug. She's the marijuana of novels.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. Level 1 romance drug, Danielle Steele. And I really liked her novels. But then as I got older, I just didn't gravitate towards romance novels. I did not read the 50 Shades books. I think I read one paragraph and my editor's brain exploded. So I could not read that.
And not from a climax. Like, let's also be clear about that.
Yeah.
Not from a climax.
It was not a delightful experience.
Okay.
Let me say that. And like, just a lot of the authors I read have sex scenes in their books, but they're not like romance novels per se. And Jane Austen definitely is not a smutty author.
But she was ahead of her time. So let's be clear. Like, again, we don't yuck anyone's yums.
Oh, no,
and if a little
Jane.
bit of angle is what gets you going,
oh my god, a wrist. Oh.
let me just take off my glove very slowly.
She went outdoors without a bonnet.
Can you imagine? What a whore.
She definitely would have been called one.
That's
so I guess that's how I got started reading Outlander. I would say was like my real first foray into smutty romance. And I was like, oh my, there's got to be a whole world of this out there. And there is
a whole new world.
Many.
And if you want to hear more about Outlander, please check out our Outlander coverage also on this channel.
But Sarah, how about you?
I think I kind of started young, actually. I feel like my first romance novel was maybe like 16 or 17. I somehow got it. I think it was called Princess Daisy, and it was very thick, like very thick. Had a lot going on in it, and it was kind of like the ones that you'd think, oh, some older white ladies are going to be reading it or something. Meanwhile, I'm a young white lady, like voraciously enjoying it, not realizing I'm like yucking my own yum for the future. So I started out with books that were probably way too advanced for me, like when it comes from a sexual standpoint, but I loved it. And I didn't really buy too many of them. I kind of like had maybe 3 or 4 books. And that was just like, these are my boyfriends and I'm just going to go to town and have a blast reading them. And it doesn't matter how many times. And then
it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And, you know, they never get tired. That's what I have to say about my bookmen. They never get tired. And I think then probably whenever Sarah J. Maas will be talking about Akhtar, A Court of Thorn and Roses came out, I had no idea that there was any romance in it at all, like none. And so whenever that had come out, I wish I could remember which year it had come out, because I still feel like I was still youngish, but what do I know? I was literally blown away when shit went down in this book. I was so overjoyed because it was like high fantasy and sex and tension. And it was just like, let's fucking go, Sarah. I am sold. And so I had bought the Akhtar books back when it was like the old covers that now people are selling online for money, because for some reason their books aren't ratty and worn like mine are, because I actually read mine. But yeah, that's kind of my venture into it.
That was 2015, just for the record. I looked it up because, you know, Ravenclaw.
Of course.
2015.
I was like, it has to be like the 2010s.
Yeah.
She's a very fast writer.
So yeah, okay. So then I must have been early 20s-ish. I'm not going to bother doing the math right now.
That feels right.
Yeah.
Well, I love how you girls were like, I started young. I think I started when I was probably like 12.
There you go. Excellent.
But see, you did the fanfic and you did it right. I wish I could go back, not to like jump on your story, but like I am so envious of your story, Flo. Please go on.
I actually so my best friend Anna, shout out to you, Anna, if you're listening to this. You probably not.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey girl. She had gotten these books from, I think, the public library, and they were the Janet Ivanovich Stephanie Plum series, which I don't know if you girls have read. And they're not like a romance novel per se. She's like a bounty hunter. And it's like really funny and just like, it's a really cute, like easy read. And we got like really into them. And there were like semi-spicy-ish scenes in them. They usually faded to black, but I was like, oh my gosh, like a shower with a boy. Can you imagine? So that was probably like 7th or 8th grade. Then I discovered that the grocery stores sold these like risque covered like novels. So I bought a couple of those like for the beach. So I would bring those to France and read them on the beach with my grandma next to me.
That is amazing.
It was so great. So they were like, again, like you were saying, Sarah, like probably meant for like middle-aged women.
Yeah.
But I was like, this is fabulous. So shout out to my absolute favorite one. It was called In the Highlander's Bed.
Oh. Tells you exactly what you're doing.
Exactly. Exactly. There was like a lot of sex like on like tartans and stuff. Just like, let's go. And I just remember I brought that one to a trip to Guatemala that I went on with my high school. And my friends and I took turns like reading out loud from the book.
Oh, that's amazing.
And we're going to be doing some quotes later from our favorites, but it was just so fun and entertaining. And then of course, I read a lot of smutty fan fiction. Specifically, I think like the first one I can really remember was a Draco Ginny fan fiction where they were on the Hogwarts Express, and
I'm for this energy. Keep going.
Right? I'm
so for Draco.
I was
just
so
choking
big on Draco Ginny for a while there. I was like, ooh, Romeo and Juliet, and I was like, 15 or whatever. And I was like, this is the pinnacle of romance. And he like got these like magic chocolates, and they were like filled with liquor, and he like broke them on her and like licked off the liquor. I was just like, is this real life?
Flo, no. Don't stop. Why did you stop?
Sorry. I'll have to find it and send it to you guys if I can find it, but it was so good. And then of course, since then, a lot of things have happened, but a lot of reading. I'm going to go into some of my faves, but I definitely, Sarah, you were very kind with your compliment. But I definitely don't read as many like good books, quote unquote. I believe all books are good.
So good.
Oh, okay. All right.
But to be fair, I read, I would say like 98% smut.
See, but that's the appropriate amount. I'm not gonna lie.
I think so.
Because you still fit in non-smut books, and that's why I'm proud of you. Because me, I'm like, do I need to? No, I don't need to.
I'm just saying, if you want some good recs, I will send you guys my Goodreads list from last year. I made my goal for the very first time ever. Thank you, Smut. You made it happen. Thank you.
I love it.
And that kind of like leads me to my next question, which is like, just overall, like not so much just us, but I'm just wondering, like, I feel like smut has gotten very popular lately.
Yes.
And I think with the like coming on of TikTok, there's a lot of romance authors who are on quote like book talk, and a lot of like, moms and like young women and even like older women who are on book talk who talk about their like favorite romance novels. And I feel like it used to be such a taboo topic.
Yes.
So taboo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taboo.
I remember hiding my books in my bedside table. Like it was a sex toy, and like,
oh yeah.
I mean, it
was
is
just crazy. And I mean, kind of, yeah.
No need to hide, but it is.
Right.
I mean,
but I feel like now everyone's talking about it, and I'm just like wondering, like, how did this happen? Why do people read smut? Why do you guys read smut? And like, why do we think that women as a whole, because overwhelmingly it is women who are reading these books, like, why are we reading them?
Because we're not fulfilled somewhere.
Yeah, right?
I mean, it's like the fantasy where you can imagine that it's you in this role with this really, because it's always a hot guy in a romance novel. It's not going to be some like random Joe off the street, unless he's like a random Joe and then gets a makeover and he's hot.
Listen, I'm actually, you know what? I'm putting this out into the ether, because you have to put this energy out into the ether. Give me a romance novel with an average Joe with a heart of fucking gold, who is a little bit of a bad boy with a high emotional IQ and who can listen.
Yeah, well, that's the dream.
I don't need you to be some rice stand coming in on black wings. Like, listen, I love that. I'm for it. Rise, however you want to pronounce it. But like, give me someone that I will meet in the real world in a romance novel, and you will rock my fucking world.
That's so funny because I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want anything realistic. I want like the richest, hottest Formula One racer who's also in the mafia.
Also boxes and is about to go up against someone in a higher weight class.
Exactly.
Yes.
Like
yes.
Stuck in like some gambling ring.
Tattoos, 6'5".
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Give me like the tall tattooed guy that I can climb like a tree. Let's go.
Oh yeah, they definitely have to be tall.
Yeah, have to.
Definitely need to be tall. I think also because it was taboo, it was really fun to read.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think 50 Shades did something good where people were just reading it and they didn't care. Like they would be on the subway or a bus and they would have their 50 Shades book and people were like, oh my stars, is that a muddy book?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's so true.
Now it's not as taboo anymore, which is really cool to see because sex is natural and normal. And I mean, the less taboo it is, the less issues we're going to have with it.
Sex always sells, but we also have to realize like we have come to the generation where women are finally starting to have their own economic power. And things like the female gaze are happening in our movies. So like, I'm just excited to be alive right now. I'm just thrilled to be on this ride because I think for all the reasons Colleen articulated, smut is popular, but it's also this idea of like, it's where we can be a little bit filthy.
Free.
Yeah.
Like we can have as many partners as we want. It doesn't matter. They never, ever truly leave you. You can bookmark where you want to be with that individual. You can return to that passage time and time and time and time again. And you know what I mean when I say that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's just also women are starting to, and non-binary people, anyone non-male, let's be clear about this, anyone non-male, but particularly women, let's focus since we all three identify as women for this podcast. We are getting power that we have never had before. And people are wanting to sell us that power because we can buy it. And it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy. And I love seeing people claim their sexuality on Book Talk. Like I love that it's just a thing that we can all send to one another and giggle to one another. And like just in one of my book clubs today, someone had sent a TikTok of this woman who was performing like, am I a classical book? No one wants the classics. Am I a fictional book or a non-fictional book? No one wants you. Autobiography, no one wants you, blah, 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 blah. But like new adult, yes, please. Smut, yes, please. Dirty kink, yes, please. And it's just, it's just really great. And I think also men are so visual that they do pornography so much more than us women do.
Right.
Like women enjoy porn. People who are not men enjoy visual porn. But us women, there's something in our brains where we can visualize and imagine, and it's that tension that we excel at in our real relationships and our fake relationships. So that's why I think people come to smut, because smut comes right back at them.
Yeah, and I think it's also like a safe way to experiment with your sexuality. Like
so many new kinks.
So
what is this?
Right. And like you can just read about it, and like if you like it, great. And if you don't, then just like close the book. But like nobody's gonna judge you. You don't have to like go out and find a partner that's into that same thing. It's just like very freeing. On the topic of porn, I just want to put it out there. They do make audio porn that's like listening to an audio.
So you're gonna send that to me, right, Flo? Because you're my friend.
Yes,
okay, good.
I will send you a link from a certain place that rhymes with Corn Hub. So I mean, I think for me, like smut is just like a very liberating experience of like, I don't have to tell anybody what I'm reading if I don't want to. Like, I don't have to tell my mom, or like, I don't have to like look at the checkout stand person in the eyes when I'm buying it. So it's just, it feels great. And I love it. And also like, it's kind of mindless in a lot of ways. And I feel like right now with this pandemic and just like with the way the world is, like sometimes you just need something mindless and not to
Yes.
feel guilty about doing something mindless. Like this has been so good for my mental health to just read these books and just get lost in a fantasy for like, you know, a minute or an hour or whatever I have like the mental capacity for.
Exactly.
So it's just been really great. And I also want to put it out there that I think the majority of the authors that we're featuring today are female authors.
Heyo.
And it's just like, I didn't even think about it while I was like writing my recs, but having something that is by women for women, for the most part, is just so special because it feels like there's somebody else out there who likes the same thing that I'm into, likes it so much that they're writing it.
Right.
And it just feels like a kinship or like a sisterhood. And it just like, it feels like you're less alone in this world, which is so nice.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh, now I feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, I know.
Like, oh.
Where do y'all like read stuff or like, so like I find a lot of my stuff actually on TikTok. So like on Book Talk, they'll like put a quote and I'm like, excuse me, what? And then I'll go and like figure out what I can get it. I would say like at this point, almost 100% of my books come from Kindle Unlimited, which if you don't know is a subscriber service through Amazon, which owns Kindle. And you can just get books for free with your monthly subscription. And it's great. It's just fabulous. Highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So cool.
Love it. How about you, Colleen?
I have found most of the, like, if it was a romance novel, like I was buying the actual book. When I worked at Barnes & Noble, I actually bought more books like that because I had to rearrange the tables.
Right.
And stock the books. So I would see something interesting and grab it. And of course I had a discount, so it was even better.
Yeah, girl.
For fanfic, I start off on Twitter. I'm part of a pretty advanced community with some of the certain fandoms and their smutty fanfics. And then I transition over to AO3 and find that author's other stuff and fall way down a rabbit hole reading way too late into the evening.
That's a good rabbit hole.
Ooh, it's very good.
I do kind of a combination, like 4-pronged approach, I guess. Like I start.
I'm sorry, what? How many?
I was gonna say, are we doing tentacle porn now?
That would be four prongs for me, please. Excuse me, sir. May I have one extra prong? That's right.
I mean, or just some extra people.
So I definitely like book talk. I usually find like with the videos, if someone will mention like Actar and then they'll have like a list of 5 other books, I'm just like, I'm just going to add all of them to my TBR, my to be read list, whether or not I actually get to or not. I'll go to Barnes and Noble, and I will say, you know, shouts for this being the Valentine's Day episode, because this is a prime chance to go to Barnes and Noble. Not that you have to buy Barnes and Noble's books, like support independent bookstores if possible. But they do a bang up job of posting these like romance tables. And I'm very impressed now, speaking about acceptability, right? And corporations wanting to attract us wonderful women to buy their books. I was in Barnes and Noble just today buying this.
Oh, look at you.
And
so for those of you who are just listening, it was A Court of Thorn and Roses.
Of course. And they had like 4 different tables, one with romance, one with smut, one with something else, and one with something else. And I was just like, goodness. And then upstairs they had it as well. So like, honestly, ask your Barnes and Noble employee, because they are being trained in this shit. I'm not even kidding.
I also think like that would be such a fun date to like go with your Valentine to like the bookstore and be you pick out a book for me to read and I'll pick out a book for you to read, and then like just talk about it. Like I just think that'd be so, maybe that's the Ravenclaw in me and I'm just like a huge nerd.
No.
I would get into that so hard.
No. Let me just say, for any in particular, this one goes out to the ladies who are listening, because hello, gentlemen, we see you. We know you're watching as well. And for you, we give you praise for actually watching this kind of episode as a gentleman. But in particular, for us women, take Flo's advice seriously and just say, hey, sweetheart, if you have a sweetheart. I don't care what the gender of the sweetheart is. This is a wonderful way to spice up the bedroom. Each of you pick a book. Each of you pick your little passages and perform them for each other. Happy Valentine's Day.
What is interesting in this book to you?
Yeah.
That's right. What spoke to you? Let's do a little quote analysis. Here we go. Love it. And it's like a pretty cheap date. Like, it's like 10
$20 tops.
Yeah, max. It's great.
Love it.
Well, should we get into like the meat and potatoes of this episode, which is like so what we did is we each took 3 recommendations because we could have gone on forever, but we stopped ourselves at 3. And I think, we should just like go into it. Maybe just like talk about kind of like what, because in smut, there's like a bunch of genres, right? Like kind of based on kinks. So if it like has one, let's just like talk about that. This is like we said, this is not a kink shaming episode at all. Like this is just what we're into, but whatever you're into, I'm sure there's content out there. If you need help finding it, reach out to us, bohemiangeekstudies@gmail.com. And we will be like your little book curators.
If you have a kink, there is some sort of fiction out there for you.
Definitely.
For sure. Well, I see me on the top. Am I starting?
You can go first, girl.
So we're gonna start like real hardcore, like in my opinion, the Deviant King series, because it is a dark romance series. I did not expect myself to read this because I was already like, what do you mean dark?
What does
I don't know what that means. I am like, my smut is literally, it takes, as Flo can attest to, because I was so fucking hyped on Actar and I was like, oh, it's so filthy, blah blah blah. Like my smut takes a long time. Like I'm a demi with my smut. Like I really have to warm up. You really have to earn it. You really have to become breathless. But the Deviant King series, at the top of each book, the author warns the reader. And I'll just give an example warning. Something along the lines of, quote, hello, reader friend. If you haven't read my book before, you might not know this, but I write darker stories that can be upsetting and disturbing. Ooh. My books and main characters aren't for the faint of heart. Deviant King is a dark high school bully romance, mature, new adult, and contains dubious situations that some readers might find offensive. Uh-oh. If you're looking for a hero, Aidan is not it, ladies. If, however, you have an itching for a villain, and I know some of us do, then by all means, welcome to Aidan King's world.
I mean, that's a solid start.
I'm gonna need to pick that up.
It's a solid start. And what's great is, so it's set in high school, and just because like I'm 35, just use your imagination. Obviously, we do like that. You have to use your imagination for these things. But each book features a different guy in this very hot flow, very hot.
Hey, I believe you.
And what's also great is it's written in British English. So if that is your kind of yum, there you go.
I love a boarding school vibe too.
And what I also love about this series is that there are playlists that go along with it. I don't know. I'm assuming that the author was responsible for like curating the list, but each of these books has on Spotify a playlist that, fun fact, you can use with your partner, whether or not you are reading. Just throwing that out there. So I really liked it because it was totally outside of my norm. Like never had I ever read a dark romance before. And I was just like, you know what? You're just going to try it. And I just kept trying each of the books. And kind of like Flo had said, wanting to just relax and let it kind of wash over you because things can be stressful. This book series is totally it. So if you want like If you're like, oh, I love gray heroes,
Hmm.
no.
I have another bully series to recommend to you.
Good.
I'm not like a big bully, like that's
Me
not,
neither.
That's not my jam.
It's a lot of dubious consent and a lot of humiliation kink going on in this.
Oh, okay. Well, the one I read, like there was some humiliation, but like it wasn't my jam, but I did read all of it, and I'm wondering if you'd like it. I'll have to find it and send it to you, Sarah. When I do, I'll post it on our story. But it was similar, like dark high school. It was, oh, man, it like had to do with like playing cards. It was like very intense.
Okay. Well, let me end with this thirsty quote, and then we'll do one book from you. I don't want to do all three at once.
Okay.
Like I think we should all take turns.
Okay.
So here's my thirsty quote that I pulled from this book, and I'm not saying
do I need
who
like
said
a towel for this?
I mean, you might need a few towels.
They're pretty intense.
Flo.
Yes.
I'm talking right to you as I say this.
Okay, I'm ready.
Flo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby.
And I quote, spreading your legs won't get you out of my system. I love owning your body, but that's not the only thing I'm interested in.
And what else do you want?
His voice drops in a haunting whisper. Every fucking thing.
And scene.
Ooh, possessive king.
Yeah, that's good.
So possessive. That's honestly
so good.
So fucking hot. That's what I'm saying. Like this, the dark romance. One of the books, and it's not this first one, has a very serious element dealing with like cutting. So like heads up for that. And I think the author does a good job warning that you don't get this first book. I think this first book is a lot more possessive, but I'm going to have to reread it probably after this episode to be sure that I made a good recommendation.
You know what I think is so funny? Like we're three like very like independent, strong women, but in our smut, we're like, yeah, possess me, baby. I'm all yours. Like I'm your toy. Go. And again, it's just because like it's this wish fulfillment. It's like a place to like go from like our day to day. Like we are like business women, we are hardworking, we're very independent. Yep. And it's just like sometimes we just want somebody to take care of things.
Yeah.
And we get that in
and I do mean my orgasm when I say take care of things.
Correct.
Yes. And I will be on the bottom because I don't want to work.
Yeah. Yeah. Unless you're making it like really worth it. Yeah, no, I'm not riding. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll take my questions off the air.
Colleen, you want to go next?
Yeah, who's next?
She's sipping champagne. She's such a lush.
I am, but I love champagne so much. So delicious. Plus, when you're podcasting, it's fun.
Yeah.
To have just like a little buzzy treat with you.
That's great.
And it fits the theme very well for this week. All right. My first one is going to be a very shameless plug for my first novel, which was called Men of the Year.
Yes.
This is my own book. I don't feel bad at all about
Don't.
As you shouldn't, girl. Go get it. Get that bag.
It's not smutty because I wasn't quite comfortable writing smut yet when I wrote that. Although when I work on the sequel, it will have smut in it because I am now much more comfortable, which we will find out about later. So it still is about romance and dating and about going through this kind of online dating ringer. The main character is basically blackmailed into doing a 1-year trial of a dating site. And they set her up with a man per month. And of course, shenanigans ensue. There is like a sexy time scene. But of course, I do the fade to black because I tried writing the scene and was like, nope, it's just not hitting right. It's not quite there yet. I'll work on that for the next one. It's set in Minnesota. So we get like the changing of the seasons that affects the dates that she goes on. And it was super fun to write. Very romantic comedy. More than straight.
I liked how light it was. It was just light. It's very light and nice.
Yes, effervescent, I think is.
Ooh,
I would describe it.
I don't know how to use that word. So yeah, you could use it.
Just like the champagne. The champagne is effervescent. So that is my first one. And then look forward to the sequel in which the main character goes to Europe and has lots of sex.
Ooh, I love that.
Yeah, I love that for her.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that for us.
I love
like,
that
let's
for
find
us
out.
more than even for her.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I went really hard with my first pick.
I mean, I hope you did, because here I was talking about.
This is my first round draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
This was the first thing that Book Talk brought me, and I was like, okay, I'll try it out. Like, I just got Kindle Unlimited, and like it's free, so like, why not? Holy fucking balls, guys. Okay, so there's actually 2 series. They are both by Tate James, who is a woman. The first series is called the Madison Kate series,
which I've read some of. Thank you, Flo.
So
I
good.
almost used this book. So like, I'll shut up now. I apologize.
It's
I got
so
excited.
good, right? But like, it's
yeah.
so good.
Yes.
So,
definitely read voraciously.
Madison Kate, I believe there's 4 books. And then that's followed by the Hades series, which I believe also has 4 books. And then there's a novella in there as well, which is also very, very good. So you need to start with Madison Kate before you move on to Hades, but they are equally as good. So the premise basically is kind of like Richie Rich Girl Madison Kate gets into a spot of trouble one night. She basically gets framed for this like riot that happened. She gets sent off. Her dad like kind of pays for her to go to like a Cambodian like meditation center instead of like going to jail or whatever. She comes back. Her dad is set to marry this woman who has a son, whatever.
I mean, of course.
Of course. And his 2 friends are also living in the house. And of course, the dad and like the future stepmom are peacing out, going out of town. They're going to Italy.
I love when the parents aren't there.
So good.
Love it when they're not there.
This is not a high school one. They are in college, but like pretty early college. And basically, like these guys are in like this like seedy underworld, like mafia situation. This is what's called a reverse harem, which
please define, because you introduced me to him and I'll never go back.
So
it should be, ladies.
A harem traditionally is like a very usually like rich guy, usually like a prince or like a king of some sort, who has like a shah, right? Exactly. Who has just like a plethora of women who he has sex with or has relationships with. A reverse harem is when the girl has multiple men. Usually in these romance novels, it is 3, but I have read ones with 4. There is like a limit.
4-pronged.
Yeah, the 4-pronged approach that Sarah was talking about. This one is 3. So there's Archer, there's Steele, and there's Cody for Madison Kate. I don't exactly remember the names for Hades guys, but they're all like super hot, super strong. Like they shoot, like there's a lot of shooting people. It's just like, it's very sexy and like underworld.
Very protective.
Like, super protective. Protective. Also, like there's just something about these books where when there's so many guys involved, they all have like their own nickname for the girl. And like there's just
I love that
about like being called princess by one and like babe by the other, and I'm just like, kill me. So I picked a quote too, and this one's actually from the Hades series. It's from the book called Anarchy. So the Madison Kate series, the books are all named, I think after the guys, but I'm not positive. Oh no, they're not. They all like rhyme with Kate. So it's like hate, fate, Kate, whatever.
Yeah.
The Hades ones are named after, so Hades is a little bit different. She is like the owner or like the leader of a gang, like a mafia gang. And so she's like the big boss. And she owns a bunch of like establishments. And so all the books are named after like the nightclubs that she owns in this town called, I think it's called Shady Grove, but I don't really remember. Okay, so here's the quote from this. Oh my God, I'm like so nervous.
I'm like so ready.
I love a dramatic reading.
So, the dramatic reading is intense, but also like this is going to be taken off the internet. This ass. I arched my hips, wiggling my behind at him an invitation. Smack it, fuck it. I didn't care. I just wanted him to take whatever the fuck he wanted from my body. use me, abuse me, make me forget my own goddamn name.
Yeah, you're gonna need to read the dark high school thriller.
Yeah, no, I bet. So yeah, I love these. I read all of them. They really helped my Goodreads numbers, and they are hot as fuck. Like, if you are looking for a reverse harem novel and you have not read the Madison Kate series and then the Hades series, like, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Like, go get it right now. It is literally pay the Kindle unlimited subscription. There's like a free trial. Just go read these. It's incredible.
Yep. I haven't read Hades, but I followed Flo into the Dark Knight on Madison Kate, and I loved it. I loved it. Good. I loved every second of it.
I love it. I'm definitely gonna have to try these.
Yes, go try it. It's so good. If you don't like it, like, no harm, no foul, right? So it's like, it's all good.
Yeah.
Well, right, what's your next one?
So now it is time for us to talk about one that I would hope but don't expect all of our listeners to know about, and that is the A Court of Thorn and Roses series. It had been classified as young adult when it first came out. The protagonist, I think, was like 19 in it, so it like just hit the young adult, even though it really wasn't. It was right at that time when the category new adult was just coming out, apparently. And so it was originally classified as young adult, but we all know that ACOTAR, A Court of Thorn and Roses, is not young adult. It is very sexual. And it should be called new adult. So I'm glad that it has this new recast imagining. And it's pretty much, in essence, at least the first book, a remake of Beauty and the Beast reimagined with fairies, because of course it has to have fairies. And it has dark gray characters in it, and it has things like control and dominance and freedom and choice. And it's got a slow burn in it, to the point where when I say like, oh, A Court of Thorn and Roses, I actually mean books 1 and 2. Like, you can't read just one, you have to read 1 and 2. I don't know how you ladies feel about this. Like, I don't want to monopolize, since all 3 of us have read ACOTAR. There are currently 5 books out. I highly recommend books 1, 2, and 5. I think 3 and 4 are kind of skippable. I can't really remember.
I love 3.
You love 3. Well,
I love 3.
Let me just say, from a smut standpoint, 3 needs a little bit more.
Yes.
So
it was lower on the smut. Number 5 had my favorite smut.
Well, I only read number 1, and honestly, like, I know I need to read the other one.
Hold on, actually, no, stop the fucking recording.
Are you so sorry?
No. This is the first step. I apologize. I accept you for who you are, Flo.
You
were saying that you've only read the first book.
I've only read the first one. They are like thicker. So if you're looking for a quick read, this is not it. Like,
not it.
They are big books. I just like did not have the bandwidth to continue. And honestly, like, a slow burn is not my day.
So Flo, what I'll do for you maybe is, since you have Kindle Unlimited, I plan on rereading this series. I will flag for you in book 2 where you need to read. Like,
that's what I need.
Let me help you. Let me help you. Yeah, exactly. Because it's true, folks. Like, when it comes to a smut standpoint, I was very high and mighty when it came to this book and was super duper excited for Flo. Yes. But Flo has a different desire threshold, and all books are acceptable.
That's
and
right.
Like, I happen to like both extremes.
Sure.
But I like the slow burn most, as long as book 3 has some fucking smut to burn. So Flo, anything further on book 1 that you want to talk about, since you had kind of like a meh reaction to it?
I think my issue with this one is, like, I have such a hard time picturing it. And I think, like, when I read smut, like, I want to be able to picture myself as the main character. Like, who doesn't want to be the main character, right?
Hell yeah.
And I just, like, I couldn't picture out what people looked like what these fairies looked like.
Oh, they're so fucking hot, Flo. You don't even know.
I can't. There's gonna be a show, right?
Yes, there is, Flo.
So, exactly. So when there's a show, usually that helps me a lot, and then I usually go back to the book.
Yeah.
But honestly, like it was good. It was very enjoyable. Again, it was just like a little bit long. But if you're looking for something with more plot and like more action, it was that's definitely it.
Very good world building. Like, holy crap.
Yes.
Yeah. I will also say when I critiqued books 3 and 4, I think 4 was really a disappointment for fans. Not just because it was, I think so, because it was so thin. The plot was so sparse. There wasn't really much smut in it. It was just kind of like, what are we doing here, Sarah?
It was like taking a breath, kind of.
It was very much taking a breath when all I wanted was to be knocked on my back, Sarah. Like, you know why I'm paying you.
And then book 5 came along and did just that.
And then book 5 came along. Book 5 is more Flo's pace, but I still think it's too thick.
Okay.
Oh, I love.
What do you?
I'll read them.
I mean, yeah, 5 Flo gets to be a little bit nasty. Okay. Like Sarah turned up the heat. She was just like, okay, we gave kind of the more Victorian approach. Now it's time to get a little bit nasty. And like it was also easier when you talk about main character shit. Like it was also a lot easier for me to picture myself as this main character, because it was like,
same.
I'm the oldest kid, but Feyre acts like the eldest in a lot of regards, and she becomes this painter, and she's not sure who to choose, and blah 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 blah. So like me and Feyre, we get along.
I will say, like, I was pretty into like the captive shit.
Yeah,
like that was fine. Like, yes, if a hot guy would like to keep me captive, I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah. Well, just I'm not gonna say anything. Wait for the show. Show. I'm not gonna ruin it for people. Okay, next. Who's next?
I think me next. Okay, this is one of my favorite romance novels. So like actual romance novel that I went out and bought. It is called The Kiss Quotient by Helen Huang. Love it. The characters are Asian American characters, which is also really cool. It is smutty. I should have known by reading the back of the book that there was gonna be some sex in this book, and I just loved it. It was like, oh my, we're really going for it, Helen. I like this. It was published in 2018, so it's fairly new. It follows Stella. She's this successful businesswoman who also happens to be on the autism spectrum. Like she has Asperger's, and so she's really interested in sex and pleasure, but not really the relationshipy part, because she doesn't know how to relate to people very well. Really good with math and numbers and science, but not people. So she hires a very sexy escort to explore intimacy, for science.
Yeah.
To see what it's all about. Like she has this one part where she's like, French kissing is the worst thing ever. I don't know why people do it.
I mean,
she finds out. Where's the lie?
She finds out why people do it. The guy character's name is Michael Fan. He's so hot. He is like ridiculously hot. It's obvious that these two should fall in love with each other, but Stella's like hyper logical mind, and Michael's little side job where he is an escort kind of keeps getting in the way. So there's drama, there's family drama, there's relationship drama. They're both really cute, though. They're adorable. It's obvious that they dig each other like immediately. Another cool thing was that the author, while she was writing this book, found out that she's also on the autism spectrum.
How cool.
And she was doing research, and she's like, I want this to be a gender swap pretty woman, but why would a successful woman go and find an escort? And it's like this, because they want to be able to experience things, but they're not comfortable necessarily going up to somebody in a bar and striking up a conversation. And so while she was researching it, she like had an interview with her friend, and her friend's like, oh, well, my daughter, she's autistic, and she does these certain things when we're talking about human like compatibility and how we relate to each other. And the author was like, maybe I should go to a therapist, and because I kind of have those tendencies too. And she went, and they were like, oh yeah, you're probably on the autism spectrum. She's like, shit.
There you go.
I guess I am. But then it's very sweet. It's not super long, and the sexy scenes are very sexy very quickly.
Okay.
So definitely check out The Kiss Quotient. Don't let the math title scare you.
Yeah, I was gonna say. feel like that would be like a turn off for me, but I will take your word for it.
Mhm.
Okay, so my next one is another series. I like my books in series. I don't like one-offs. I like a little bit of like world building, but I need it to just like be a little bit quick, so it takes over a couple books.
Mhm.
Okay, so this is one that I read over winter break. It's called the Fast series. And they're all like fast and blah blah blah. So like one of them is like fast and wet or whatever.
Yes.
You know?
Oh my.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so
Understood.
they're written by Cat Ransom. All of these, by the way, are available for free on Kindle Unlimited. So if you have a Kindle Unlimited membership, these are all free for you. And I actually had to pull it up on my Kindle to get a quote, but basically each book follows one Formula One racer, and they're all from a different country. So like the first book is about the Scottish guy. I think his name is Lennox, if I'm not mistaken. There's one of them like follows the Italian guy. One of them is like the Norwegian guy. Anyways, they're all like super hot, like super kind of tortured, like live this fast life of being in the Formula One world.
Mhm.
The first one, he like falls in love with his PA. The second one, I forget, but like the Italian guy falls in love with like one of the other guys' sisters. It's all like kind of forbidden romance, which is great. Other thing, like I know nothing about cars.
Yeah, me neither.
Like less than zero. I've never watched a Formula One race. I can now tell you so much about like where all the Grand Prix are. Like all about Formula One now. Okay.
Educational.
Right? I learned so much. These are not slow burns. The first one was probably the slowest, but there's definitely one of these where they have sex in the first chapter.
Wow, that is fast.
So if you're looking for something quick, like some like wish fulfillment right away, yeah, these are great. They're also super quick to read. I think I read, maybe like this series, which I think has four books, and then another series, which I think had 4 books, all over like my 2-week winter break.
Mhm.
So I was
great.
basically like doing a book a day. It was great.
Wow.
Okay, so this quote that I'm about to read to you is from Fast and Hot. I'm literally reading from my Kindle.
Honestly, just the title is the quote. Like
Yeah.
I actually like I'm like, oh, I'm good.
So the full title is Fast and Hot, a Formula One racing romance from the Fast series. And this is book 3. So this one's about Dante, who's the Italian guy. He's probably my favorite, which is funny because I really didn't think he was going to be. And then he like really grew on me.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. I don't even know where to start because I like kind of want to read you the whole page, but I won't.
No.
Just keep reading as we're like, go on.
Okay, so I'll start with the part I highlighted. I like looked back at my highlights on my
Yes, definitely.
This is
As
him
you should.
talking. But I'm not going to do an Italian accent or like a guy voice because I would just butcher it. Tell me what you need. God help me, I will give it to you. The heat of his mouth and breath covers my ear while he buries his face in the crook of my neck. I moan, feeling my orgasm building deep, low, hot in my belly. Say filthy things to me in Italian.
Yes.
Anyways, then it goes on. A lot of like, yes, oh God, more.
Yeah, like me. I'm fulfilling that now.
Yeah. Eventually it ends with, quote, I scream out his name and pull his hair as I lose all sense of control. Dante lifts my legs to my shoulders and sits up. He dives into me even harder, watching between our legs at the place our flesh joins. Anyways, then it goes on.
I just gotta go. Can you like give me a second though? I'll be right back.
I'm just saying, like, again, this is what I enjoy. Like, I like, and even like in real life, I'm just gonna get real for a minute. Like, I like a lot of talking. That's like how I visualize things. And so I like need a lot of words to describe sex scenes.
Yeah.
That's just like how I get off. And so these books, like, if that's what you're into, these books do it for me. Maybe they'll do it for you.
Yep.
They're really great.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it.
You're welcome, universe.
So my last book recommendation, like what I wanted to do when I approached these book recommendations, first and foremost, was to say like, what is my yum? What was my boundary yum? and what is a new yum I did not expect. So my normal yum, Actar, boundary pushing, dark romance, Deviant King. Unexpected was Red, White, and Royal Blue, because it is male on male new adult romance novel. And it is taking off like wildfire. As far as I can tell, people are really appreciating it. It was author Casey McQuiston's first novel, which is extremely impressive. And the novel follows British Prince Henry Fox, and I'm going to butcher this last name, Mount Christensen Windsor, and Alex Claremont Diaz, the son of the first female American president, as they gradually may or may not get over their animosity for each other.
It's a little enemies to lovers.
Very much enemies to lovers. And it's about foreign dignitaries and like you get not really politics, but sort of politics. Like it's not even politics, but you can like pretend that it's almost politics. And it's just lighthearted, and you feel like you're in the thick of like the butterflies. You feel as though you could be both of these characters' friends. Unlike some of these other books where I feel like, whoa, they're way too fucking hot for me, or like they're fairies, or they're bullies, or they're whatever. Like Red, White, and Royal Blue actually sounds like it is a totally plausible happenstance. And it brings in text messaging too. And it just feels, it's so cute and it's so realistic. And like, it's such a lighthearted, quick read that like, while there's only maybe a handful of steamy sex scenes and they're lighter, like I was impressed and I was like, in it to win it with these gentlemen. So I strongly recommend, if you're not necessarily into like smut, and again, I don't know why you're listening if you're not,
or at least intrigued.
But if you want to try something that's certainly lighter and something you could talk to mom and dad about and maybe push the envelope because it has to deal with LGBTQ plus representation, I cannot recommend Red, White, and Royal Blue enough.
That's great.
Yes.
I feel like it was on like everybody's like beach read this summer.
Yes.
It's so lighthearted and such a quick read. I'm definitely going to be rereading this book.
Cool.
It's so pleasant.
Check it out.
Yeah.
I need to get it too. It's been on my to read list for quite some time.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. The reason I haven't been able to get to a lot of my to read list this past year was because I was not writing my novels. I was writing smutty fan fiction.
Hey
girl, hey.
Love to see it.
Which is just fine. I'm going to blame our friend Eva for this. She introduced me to certain fan fictions from the anime series My Hero Academia, which is set in high school. So pretty much every fanfic I read about this is the characters are aged up. So it doesn't feel like you're crossing icky boundaries when you're reading it. I used to write fan fiction when I was younger too, because as a new writer, you're like, I don't know what to write, so you write fan fiction. And then
practice.
It's practicing. So then I gave it up and was like, I'm writing my own stuff. And then 2021, year 5 million of COVID hit, and I was like, I need something new to do. Eva's like, here's an author I like, you should try reading it. And I read this very, very smutty, very insane fanfic in which the two characters who I ship the hardest, Bakugo and Kirishima, are a jock and a nerd, supposedly, until Bakugo turns out to be a Yakuza Japanese mafia boss.
Oh, that sounds flows. Yeah, that's like
right up Flo's alley. Right up my alley. Give me all the Mafia Kings.
It is so amazing and hilarious, and just like the sex is so fantastic. It's written by Foolish Fortuna, who is on Twitter and on AO3. I love all of her stuff. Like every single thing I've read by her is amazing. She's really good with AU, which is alternate universe, which is what I have now been writing since last March, I want to say. The same series, I've written fully 2 of them, one of which I was working on when I was in California with Flo.
Woo!
And the 3rd one is ongoing. It's nearing 800 pages right now. So
wow.
Dang, girl.
This one is long, much longer than the other ones. And what's different for me for this is that all of my couples, I have 4 main couples, they're all gay male couples.
Wow.
Way to go,
So, like,
representation
Go,
queen.
girl.
All of the smut that I have written is dude on dude.
Dang.
Which
you
may
go,
seem,
girl.
may be strange, but pretty much every single fan fiction writer that I have read are women.
Yep.
And they write, it doesn't matter what the sexuality is of the couples, they're going to write it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what the kinks are, if it's like food kinks or blood kinks or mud, like getting dirty kinks. There's, like I said before, there is something for everyone if you just go out and search for it. I did want to bring up one weird thing that I was telling somebody about this at a party, and they were like, oh, you know, like when fan fiction writers age up characters, it's just a way to make it okay for them to have sex. And I was like, okay, and
yeah, and
like that's kind of the point. Like, I'm not interested in writing about high schoolers, underage high schools having sex. Like, that's just not what I want to write.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm going to use the characters I want to use, and I'm going to age them up.
That's
Yep.
right.
Because I don't want to write about them having sex. Like, it's cute if they're like pining and like maybe kissing and experimenting and like sneaking into each other's dorm rooms and sleeping by each other. That's adorable when the characters are normally like 15, 16.
Sure.
So that's just not what I wanted to write. So I'm like, I'm going to make them a little more aged up.
Yep.
And yeah, that's just how it is.
You do you.
Don't shame fan fiction writers. We're doing this for free.
That's right.
Like,
that's
come
right.
on now, man. And also,
right.
teenagers do have sex. I'm just going to say it. I'm just
What?
going to put it out there. I know, it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking.
Not
For some reason, people don't think this happens or think they can stop it. And it's like, no, you can't.
Yeah.
I'm still a virgin, guys.
Oh
yeah.
my God. My
I'm
stars,
like still,
me too.
Me too.
Just
I'm
writing
still
about it.
just preserved, just waiting.
Just a delicate flower.
Yes, I am a delicate flower.
That's right.
I just love it. Twitter, like not safe for work Twitter is great.
You go, girl.
Lets you embrace who you are and find out new kinks and new boundaries, like Sarah said. Or finding out you like Formula One racing.
I'm just saying, like, honestly, my grandpa, rest in peace, loved to watch car races. I wish that he was here so I could be like, so tell me all about these Formula One drivers. I did look them up, by the way, like the real ones. I was like some of them are pretty good looking. I'm like, yeah. Take off that driving suit, baby. Let's go. Okay, I'm ready for my last one. It's actually so perfect because you were just talking about mafia bosses, and my last one is like super mafia-y too. So here's the funny thing. Like, I am an active member of Moms Demand Action. Like, I am staunchly against like gun violence and like unsafe gun laws and gun loopholes. And here I am, like, reading these books where it's like, yeah, murder him, go, like, more blood, let's go, keep it coming. I just like love it. I think it's like the protection kind of kink. I was talking about this with my therapist, actually, that like I crave protection that I didn't have as a child as much as I needed. And so now I'm like totally getting it from these books, and it feels great. And it's like definitely what I want in my life. So my last rec is, again, 2 series. They are connected. By Penelope Black, who basically, if you're on Kinky Book Talk, you have probably seen a Penelope Black book talk. She is really great about promoting herself, promoting her new stuff on TikTok. So the first one you want to read is called the Brotherhood series. A little bit taboo. Yes, it is 3 brothers who hook up with the same girl.
Well, these things happen.
Yeah. So her name's Alana. And they're all like in the mafia or like the mob. I think they're in the Irish mob in Boston. And they like basically made a pact that like no girl would break them up, like, you know, family over everything. And so they had made a pact that they were just going to share one girl. And she's it, lucky bitch.
Oh my God, yes.
It kind of starts off as like an enemies to lover situation for one of them that I remember. I will say one thing about this author. She's really great. She writes really great sex scenes. The plot is actually pretty good. My only gripe is if you want like a very creative ending, this is not it. Like, has a really hard time sticking the landing, in my opinion. But again, like, there are more books coming and there are more series linked to it. So like, I also don't want to like shame her or anything like that. Like, they're really great. The ending is just not to my taste.
Do you ever, not to cut you off, Flo, but do you ever like, do either of you ever get to a point when you're like in the romance book and you're like literally almost finished and you've just finished what has to be the last sex scene? And then I'm just kind of like, do I read the remaining 7 pages?
Totally.
Do I even bother?
Oh, I do. I have to finish the book.
Completionist.
I have to as well, just for my Goodreads, but I totally get it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's only so many ways to end some of these books, and usually the girl gets pregnant. Like, that's kind of what I've found. And as like a person who is infertile, like, that's a tough ending for me.
Yeah.
So I don't like love that.
And plus it unnecessarily forces the tie of sex and like,
yeah, it does.
Having babies. Like, no, you could just have sex to have sex.
Yeah, and some of them are like really young. They're like 22 or something, and it's like, you really don't need to like have a kid right now. But anyways, it's fine. The second series is called the 5 Family series. It centers on Alana's I don't know if it's Alana or Elena, whatever, it's fine. Her cousin Maddie, and she gets together in her own reverse harem with some dudes who are not related to each other. Well, actually, that's not true. I was gonna say, actually, that's so not true. She gets together with some guys from the Italian mob. And I'm such a liar because 3 of the guys, so this is a 4-guy one, and 3 of the guys are brothers, and then there's 1 friend. Okay,
it's gonna be messy.
I also like want to be clear, the like brothers do not do stuff with each other. Like, there is no incest. This is not like an incest kink book. I'm not saying that's not out there. That's just like not what I'm reading.
Oh, it's definitely out there.
It's definitely out there, yeah. But yeah, so they don't do stuff together. And in fact, I think there was only 1 scene where there was like an extended amount of like group sex. It was mostly like one-on-one sort of situations and like a lot of voyeurism, like a lot. Yeah. So
I am so turned on.
So it was great. I am going to read you a quote. I actually don't remember which book this was from, and it's really short, but basically like this is what the whole book sounds like. And he says, one of the guys says to one of the girls, "You're going to sit on my face and I'm going to eat that pretty pussy of yours until the whole fucking neighborhood hears who you belong to." And this is a quote that Penelope Black herself put on TikTok to like get people to want to read her book. And I was like, immediately buy it, immediately downloading this.
I love it.
I love it too.
I love that kind of ownership. And I love that kind of like, what do you call it? Confidence that you could like make someone scream that loud. I love that kind of confidence. And they
always do, right? Like, they're always like so rich and hot and good in bed. And it's like, yes, where are you? Let's go. Oh, see, and that's Formula One, and you're in the Mafia. Okay.
See, and I'll just plug this one more time because I have to have the last word. That's why you need to read book 2, Flo.
Okay.
Of Akhtar.
I can't.
Book 2 is very good.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need. That's actually my favorite book.
That is what I hear. Like, that is what's all over Book Talk. I know that's supposed to be like the best one. I am here for it. I just haven't gotten to it because I was sidetracked by murdering people and then fucking.
No, I'll find. No, this is. Listen, as your friend, what I'll do is I'll go back on TikTok and I'll find good pictures of the like Bat Boys who are Cassian and like Ryzen and all them. Like, I'll find them for you. And like, people have made like who would be the best actor for the show. And like, you can see how hot these guys are. And then you can read book 2, and I'll be finishing the Mary Kate series. And then by that time, Colleen will have published something on AO3, and then we can have another smut-filled event.
Perfect. Yeah, part 2.
We'll all be a little bit wiser and a little bit wetter.
My. Oh, before we sign off, I want to add one little bit about one of my particularly favorite kind of genres. It's ABO, which is alpha, beta, omega.
What? I've never even heard of this. What is it?
Oh, yes. It's kind of werewolfy. Like it has that kind of feel to it. Not necessarily werewolves, but people have secondary genders, which can, so like a guy can be an omega and get pregnant. And there's all kinds of
like mpreg.
Yes, like mpreg, yes. And there's like protection freaking kinks, there is possessiveness kinks, there is scenting and mating and not being able to ignore your alpha's dominant voice and all kinds of juicy stuff.
I feel like I get Facebook ads for that.
Yeah, probably. It's very like huge on Twitter right now. Like a lot of people who are doing threads on Twitter are doing a lot of ABO stuff.
Wow, fascinating.
And it's just, it's just fantastic. My favorite ABO author right now is probably Tempe Tot on Twitter. And she's on AO3 as well. Fantastic. World building to the extreme.
Share the links, girl. What you doing? Let's go.
That's where we'll leave it today. Thank you so much for being with us, and come back next time for more coming and shenanigans with the BGS ladies.
Woo!
You can enjoy us in our podcast or YouTube format. Either way, please smash or lovingly caress that subscribe button and leave us those 5-star reviews. Check out our website at bohemiangeekstudies.com, where you can watch all of those episodes. Enjoy Colleen's book corner, where she's reviewing Star Wars literature. And you know what? If you miss us, contact us through email and social media. And as always, keep telling other nerdy knights to join us for that 4-prong event, because that really does help. Until next time, Kings up and strong, and keep those episodes streaming. This was so much flipping fun.
Happy Valentine's Day, everyone.
Happy Valentine's
Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Go get it. Love you all so much. Mwah.
Mwah.
Mwah.